Mm-mm. Ah, you think it's Super Bowl Sunday? My ass. It's Stirring the Pot Sunday. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest. We are starting off one of my very special guests, Justin Del Rio. What's up, my man?
What's up? What's up? How are you? Thank you so much for having me, bro.
Dude, this is a good one. First off, I've never done one at 11 a.m. This is probably my earliest stirring the pot. Not that I would do one at 6 a.m. if somebody wanted me to. I mean, that's what we got to do sometimes is step up to the plate.
Right.
And when our guests kind of, hey, can you do this time? You try to work around that time. So my man, 11 a.m. on a stirring the pot Sunday, you're starting us off. We're gonna have a fine day. You are one of three. Another fun-filled day. I did three yesterday. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, my man. I'm going wild. I'm going wild. Uh,
Yeah.
how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm not too bad. I got up early to try to do some homework, but my friend from Australia, she messaged me. She's like, "Are you awake?" I said, "Yeah, I'm awake." She goes, "Do you want to hop on the 2020 question show?" I was like, "Let's do it." So I just got off that not too long ago. So I was doing that before this. So
Yeah.
after this, I gotta do my homework.
Oh man, Justin Del Rio is in demand, my man.
I'm in
That's
demand.
awesome. So, what did you? Please promote the show you were just on, my friend. Give us some
Yeah,
info.
yeah. So it's run by I forgot her last name. She'll be mad at me, but Christy. She's from Australia. 2020 Wrestling. It's a great show, great platform. She gets people from everywhere to come on. The show asks wrestling questions and just have a good time. I need to change my name on there. It's Nerds of Wrestling, and I don't know half the questions on there. So I'm like, my name is wrong. I got to change the name. What am I doing? So it's crazy.
So, did you have a nice chit chat? How did the chemistry go? Was she a good host?
Oh yeah, she's great. I've been on the show multiple times. I always have a good time. I told her I'm always open to be on the show. Um, in Australia, it's fairly late there, but here it's 8 a.m. So I told her I was like, if you need a backup, let me know. I'm always up on early on Sunday, so just shoot me a message and I'll come on the show whenever you need me. So it's always a good time. I love being on the show, so I can't complain.
Um, do you guys talk of wrestling in Australia? Because I know wrestling is all over the globe. Do
Right.
you talk wrestling in Australia at all? Could you give us the fans maybe a little insight if you have?
Yeah, well, like the way she does it is she just asks questions, everything, WWE,
Oh,
AEW,
okay. Oh,
ROH,
oh,
Japan,
okay.
everything. So
I got you.
I mean, she's not gonna throw like a curveball as asking us questions about Australia because we won't know it. We don't know. We gotta look up the stuff in Australia. But yeah, just basic WWE, AEW.
Yeah. Well, you never know. She might get going in conversation and start
Right.
talking. Maybe differences between American and Australian wrestling because I would love. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I
I
love
mean,
it.
yeah. So, how long did you guys run for about?
I mean, it's her show. I mean, it's not my show. It's only her show. We ran for about like an hour today. So,
Okay.
you know, like
Nice.
I, yeah, like I said, I told her I love going on her show, so it's a lot of fun.
Do we find it on Face page? Where
Yeah,
can we go see
yeah.
that?
Check out 2020 wrestling with Christy. Multicultural wrestling, I think it is. I'll send you the link later so you can share it for her page.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I know we're starting off in a different space than I probably originally wanted to, but
Yeah,
what we like to do is promote the new people or the people that we don't know that are out there doing the things in the wrestling industry. So I appreciate that.
of course, man. I'm excited to share my platform for Nerds of Wrestling. I'm excited to talk about what's up, wrestler.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
absolutely. Now, before we get into that, am I not mistaken? Did you take maybe a small little hiatus there? You kind of took a break for a little bit, right?
I did. Last year once COVID hit, I was doing interviews every day. I think everyone knows who's
Okay.
watching, who listens to my stuff. I was like you, bro. I was doing 3, 4 interviews a day, and it got to the point where I was like, okay, I gotta take a breather because I started What's Up Wrestler in February of 2020. My
Hmm.
first guest was Brett Ryan Goslin, BRG, and great guy. Shout out to BRG, love that dude. And then from February, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do one every week because that's the way I wanted to do it. I was busy with work. I'm like, so it worked out perfectly. And COVID hit, and I was like, okay, well, I don't want to wait every Thursday to do a podcast when I'm just here chilling. Like, I
Yeah.
want to get the ball rolling, man. So, uh, yeah, I think in like end of April, I started doing so many, bro. I did within this span of like a month and a half. I interviewed over 70 people.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man. Because what happens for the people that are watching that don't know, when you reach out to the boys and girls that we see in the ring, not all of them are accessible.
right,
Not all of them, again, B, not all of them respond. What they call the old no sell. A lot of them don't respond, and then you have to follow up because some that say they do want to come on, and you can't really jive a date or they haven't responded in a couple of days or a week or a couple of weeks. It's like, hey, it's been a month. What's good?
right.
You do a little follow up. So you gotta keep doing your legwork on these things.
Yeah,
It's a tough gig, you know.
it is. That brings me to I did that with Christian Casanova. I tried to get Casanova on in like May, April around there, and he said he was down to do it. And I ended up having him, but I didn't have him till like August because he was so busy with everything. I was filling the slots, and for everybody who wants to do a podcast, if you're trying to fill the slots, my suggestion is maybe like don't give them a deadline. Just be like, hey, can you do this day? I gotta know by this time because I'm trying to fill that slot. I did that yesterday with a wrestler and it worked. I messaged her. I said I'm not gonna say who it is. We'll find out soon. But
Hmm.
I told her I was like, hey, I have this date open at this time. Are you available? Um, Try to let me know by this time because I got to fill the slot in for that time.
Hmm.
Make it sound important. But yeah, no, she wrote to me about 10 minutes later. She goes, "Yep, I'm free." You also
That's awesome.
so I booked her for that day. It's also like trying to find days on who could do what, when can they do it, what time, like you said, what time they can do it. It's a lot of work, especially when you're doing interview after interview after interview. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
I ended up taking a break myself for
Yeah.
probably a couple months, easy, maybe even a little longer, because we did a 5 week stretch there, and it was just absolute insanity. I kind of did some math, and we were running about 25 interviews a week. We did about 115 interviews in 5 weeks, and my man, holy shit. We had to take a break. So I appreciate what you do and anybody that picks up the venture of wanting to reach out to the talent, because this is never, and I've always said this about this show specifically. Well, a couple things. First off, it's not my show; it's our show. It's for the fans. I always say we. When I say we, I'm not talking about my multiple personality or whatever. I'm talking it's us, the fans. This is our show. I've never done this for myself at all. Second off, it's to shine light on talents that either already have a beacon going, if you will, and we want to shed a little bit more,
Right.
or the ones that don't get that light and we want to give it to them if we can with our platform. And that's what I've always tried to do. I don't reach out for the names, quote unquote, if you will. I like to look at the talents that are either a starting, like from legit day one. If I've seen them training at a company that I'm privy to go to some training sessions or whatever, and the honor of going, I'm looking at this guy when they start coming out. I want to get their first promo.
Right.
I want to get their first match, and I want to maybe be able to get their first interview now that I've been doing interviews on the reg. So that's kind of what I strided for is, and I don't want to call it lower tier or the lower class of wrestling because it's all different stages. It's the minor leagues, if you will.
Exactly.
Um, I've always liked to do it when they start from scratch, man. I think it's just amazing because now we see them blossom from the very beginning all the way through their career, as long as we can see their career go, you know?
Of course.
So that's kind of where I was always at with the interviews and such and promos. I thought if I don't see people giving light on the people that are just starting, because what happens is, Mr. Del Rio, you know just as well as I do, the modern era of the wrestling fan gets quite mouthy because they know everything, if you will.
Hmm.
Okay. And I've never perceived to be one of those fans. I've always respected, always respected the people that we see in the ring, in and out of the ring, if I get to speak to them, always in a respectful manner and such. But my point being is, I wasn't one of those guys who thought I knew everything in the business, because I fucking don't. There ain't no way that I do, you know?
Right.
So I wouldn't put on that facade. But my point being is, getting those, a lot of people won't put the spotlight on that talent because, oh, look it, she did that and botched that. She should have done this, or he should have done. Dude, let them get their career rolling,
Right.
man.
Exactly.
Let's see this blossom right in front of our eyes, and I love that about independent wrestling.
Yeah. It's very like I love what you said because it's very I love how you try to get these people when they're first starting. I have no problem against that, but for me, like I have a hard time on. I don't want to say I have a hard time keeping a conversation, but I have a hard time on trying to. If they're very green in the wrestling business, I'm like, for example, I reached out to someone in May last year. I said, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast?" She goes, "Well, I only had one match. Do you want to wait until I get the ball rolling?" I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And so I'm gonna interview her soon. That's Paris Vandale. So I'm
Right?
gonna get her on the show soon. Yeah. So it all depends on who it is. I mean, if I feel like I mean, I don't want. I'm not trying to sound like an asshole here. I don't know where I'm going here, but like,
No, I
yeah,
know exactly kind of
yeah,
where you're at. You're definitely not coming off assholeish.
right,
Believe me, I know exactly where you're going with this. And I know it's just a feel thing.
yes,
It really is a feel thing when you're interviewing the wrestlers that we see. Because again, like you said, with the female wrestler, that's I only got one match. Maybe she's not comfortable talking about what she hasn't done yet. Like,
yes,
where do we go? What's the end game of the interview, kind of thing. But I've also done the same thing. I reached out to a guy who he was tagged in a status that I put about, hey, I'm reaching out. It's been a while. What's good? Who wants to come and stir the pot? And somebody tagged a guy down in Florida. Never heard of him. Never saw his footage. And Mr. Del Rio, and I say this with all honesty, don't do it the way I do it. Anybody that's doing interviews, and I've told Mr. Donovan Dwyer, Donovan,
yep,
uh, don't do them the way I do them. I'm very dangerous. I live on the edge when I do these interviews. I don't research. I don't do anything. Yeah,
yeah,
look at you. I don't do research. I don't. What I will do is I'll just go on their face page real quick and I'll check out their photos and see how they talk, if you will, or what they're posting. Are they politically driven, or like I'll just kind of see what their personality is a little bit, if I can, off of their Facebook. But other than that, man, I don't look at a damn thing. And I stressed to Donovan, don't ever do that. Do your research.
yeah. I'll admit. So I did so many interviews. I didn't even think to do research. So I didn't do much research either. I found a lot. I found out a lot about them as the podcast was going. Uh, a lot of times you hear these on people who interview the wrestlers. Oh, you trained here with so and so. How was that? Oh, you had your first match with so and so. I'm like, damn, they did their research. They know what they're talking. That's not to say you don't know what you're talking about. That's not to say I don't know what I'm talking about. A lot of people have their own ways of doing a podcast.
Mhm.
If they don't want to do the research, that's on them. Should you? 100%. I have a funny
You
story.
should.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yes.
So
PSA. Should you 100%? That's what I'm
yes.
calling this episode. Should you 100%?
so I interviewed this girl from Florida on Friday, and she made fun of me for it big time. Thank God she was cool because I thought she was actually really mad. No, but she was really chill about it. I knew who she was. I knew all about her. You know, a little bit about her, not too much, but I knew about her. I knew who she was. I didn't know her wrestling name, and I was like, "Oh my God, how do I forget your wrestling name?" It was so bad. It was like I was like, it talks with her all day. I was like, I forgot your wrestling name. What is it again? It's like you don't watch my YouTube, like, and I clicked on her YouTube and I saw her name. I was like, oh, I knew that. I was like, I knew that, but it made for a really fun podcast. She was real, like I said, she was really cool about it. She was mad chill. She goes, yeah, hopefully next time you remember my name. I was like, I got you. I'll remember your name. But yeah,
Uh,
it was embarrassing. But like I said, it made for a very unique podcast.
yeah, because now, when you do follow up with her in the future,
Yeah.
now there's this little inside thing that's already come from the first one, and I find those little tidbits to really long last.
Yes.
Those are those little memories we speak of. In and out of the ring, though, you don't have to see a wrestling match to take wrestling memories with you. Something like that on your podcast, you always remember that,
Of
you
course,
know.
exactly. Like I told her, I was like, I'll have you on my show next time, and I promise I won't forget your name. She goes, yeah, you better not. She was like telling me, it's like, you're the one who wanted to interview me. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I feel so bad. But like I said, it, I remembered her name after I saw it. I was like, oh, that's her. It's, but yeah, she'll let you know. She'll let you know about it.
On the flip side of that, I'm going to piggyback off of that. When a wrestler sends a DM, okay, I do everything usually on Facebook and Facebook Messenger.
Right? Yeah.
Uh, Twitter's a little whack for me. I have to be honest with you. It's a tad whack for me, so I kind of just stay where I'm at on Facebook. So when I get a DM, I'll and it's from a wrestler that's using their shoot name that I'm not aware of, and then I go, yeah, that would be fantastic, but I feel like a jackass. Who's this? And then they'll go, it's blah blah blah. You go, oh shit, I didn't know that was your name.
No, right? Exactly. Like I'll be like, send me a promo picture and your wrestling name. They go, my wrestling name is my Facebook name. Like, just use that. I'll go, oh, all right. I mean, like nobody's perfect. It takes a while to get used to doing podcasts. It takes a while. It's a progress. It's a lot of work and a lot of research goes into it.
And I want to kind of keep with this topic because I think this is a fine topic because we
Yeah.
never spoke like this. We never had this kind of a conversation.
No.
Uh, First off, because you were getting that ball rolling with what your venture. We did speak some months back, so now you have been rolling a bit. But the topic I want to talk about is where we're at now is on the fly and not really scripted. And I'm not saying everybody writes their every single
Yeah.
question down and all of that stuff. You might put some footnotes, if you will, to kind of get the ball rolling and see where it goes from there. That's one thing. But again, boys and girls, don't do it this way. I don't write a damn thing down. I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to ask. I have no clue. I hit the record button and my one little brain cell takes over and we hope for the best.
Exactly. That's honestly, that is a terrible way to do it, but that's how we do it. Sometimes it, I'll be honest. I don't write anything down either. I'm like giving all my secrets away. I don't write anything down. Like I said, I love doing the podcast. I love talking to wrestlers. I feel like I could do it without notes, and sometimes I can't. Um, your interviews are always over like an hour long, so you're good. You just keep. The more you do interviews and the more you're comfortable talking, you're gonna keep talking. And you're not gonna shut up. Like I told Joe that. I told Joey Jackie G. I told Joey G. I said
Jackie G. Yes.
I said, Joe, listen, I said, you know, I said, I'm not perfect. I said, but I said, the more comfortable you're gonna get, you're gonna keep talking. You're not gonna shut up. You're gonna listen to yourself afterwards and go, damn, I talked the entire time without saying, the more you do, the more comfortable you are. It also depends on how the guest is too. If the guest is giving you a lot, then it's a good episode. I used to do phone calls and I would do video chat. And when I'm talking to them and they're talking, I'm like, keep going, keep talking. This is perfect. This is perfect because it makes it for a good podcast. Because the more they talk, the more questions you have. They give like a 5 minute story. You have 20 questions for each thing you have there. And perfect.
I
No?
ended up sitting in on a podcast. There was two guys. One was in the hospital with some things going on, and the other guy asked me to sit in with him. And they were having now this guy is the tailor of the rock stars, Jimi Hendrix. And I mean, the laundry list is amazing. The guy who he's tailored clothing for, and not just musicians, but he had this very Motown vibe that just trended with him over time, and he adapted to the modern era while still keeping his fashion going. And I'm telling you, my friend Justin, the host asked him one. Now we ran for 30 minutes, okay?
Yeah.
It was all by phone. And because they were going to do it in two parts, 30 minutes and 30 minutes. Now, the host asked him one question. That man talked for 20 minutes straight, literally 20 minutes.
Jesus.
He answered one question, which
20 minutes.
got him, yeah, and it got him going and going and going and going. And I'm just sitting here saying, holy shit, this is amazing. We don't have to think. All we have to do is soak it in.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Those are the best. But as podcasters, you gotta have your questions ready. You gotta have them all ready. I learned that a lot. Sometimes my podcasts are 20 minutes. Sometimes I have like 7 interviews I never posted because they're just not long enough or not good enough. So
not feeling it, right?
Not feeling it. People just wasn't feeling it. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna upload this.
I was starting like you were saying, once the virus hit, how the hell do we reach out to the talent now? Because I was doing sit down face to face. I was being invited to their homes, or maybe going to a park,
right?
Because they don't want Donkey Kid in their living room, which I don't blame them. But so I started doing that, and it was really fun to get out there, start interviewing these the talent. And again, that's why I started it, because of that spotlight we were trying to provide. So when the virus hit, I did 25 episodes. My last episode was King Leon, some house that he stole. I don't know where that. I don't. But anywho, episode 26 started with Yusef 13 because he was my very first interview ever. He's the reason why I started doing these, because of his backstory.
Wow.
So episode 1 is Yusef. Episode 26, being the first Skype where I started reaching out, is also Yusef. I thought it'd be fitting that he would be my first one on the Skype version. So that was March 22nd.
2020?
Of 2020.
Wow.
Okay. So that's when I started reaching out with the Skype version of Stirring the Pot. So getting all of this going, I did some math again. And yesterday I put up a post from March 20th, 22nd, from when we started with Yusef on Skype to your interview right now. This would be 202 interviews since March 22nd.
Holy shit.
You are 202 interviews since March 22nd. And I'm kind of want to do the math once we hit March 22nd of 2021, because I'm very curious, because that is one crazy ass year. And like I said, I went balls to the wall, and I got kind of burnt out, and I really had to take a break. So getting back into it has been an amazing time. I don't do 3 after work. I don't do 4 or 5 on Saturdays. I don't do 4 or 5 on Sundays anymore.
No.
I do maybe 1 after work. Like this week coming up, I got 1 every single week, and then I got maybe another 3 on the following Saturday and such. So I don't mind doing multiple on the weekends and stuff. But holy crap! My point being, and I know I'm being long-winded, and I'm yipping and I'm yapping.
It's all right.
Being able to talk to all of this talent, and I know you're right with me, being able to talk to the talent that you get to reach out to. Now that the COVID has hit and we had to resort to the technology, the reach is so much further than I would have ever had by continuing doing the face-to-face interviews.
Yeah, it's a lot. To answer your question before, how I just asked people during COVID, I mean, probably the same thing as you. I just had, hey, I mean, the more interviews I did, the more my name was getting out there, and the more people wanted to come on my show. People were asking me to come on the show. They were like, hey, can I come on? But like, I gotta see. I got a pretty busy week, but I'll try to fill you in. But yeah, I mean, it's just like the matter of fact, you need to in order for you to get the people you want on your show, you have to put in the work.
Mhm.
That's it. I mean, just keep getting your name out there. Like I said, the more interviews I was doing, I was I was getting a lot of people, and I felt like I was getting a lot of people like in a big circle that everyone knew. You know, I was getting BRG, Channing Thomas, Little Me Kathleen, Alec Price, Waves and Curls, Nico Silva, and then just in a full circle. You know, so I was getting all of them. So I mean, don't start off too big. Start off. I'm not saying start off small like they're small, but like you know, you gotta remember, like, like doing a podcast is not easy. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, it looks easy just sitting here talking to them. But when you're like face to face with them, you're like, like you're nervous. It's nerve wracking.
Yes.
It's nerve wracking. I was nervous as
Absolutely.
hell for my first interview with BRG. And
Yeah.
BRG, fun fact, is the number one most played podcast out of everybody. So I'm like,
Wow.
look at that.
Wow. That's awesome. You list a nice circle of talent right there, my
Yeah,
friend. Wow. Some fine talent right there. Now the New England area has been, and not just recently, because that's definitely not evident. The New England area has been producing wrestling stars uh, since the beginning of time, pretty much. Since the beginning of wrestling, for real. And there's so much wrestling out there; it's flourishing like none other. And I know not. I mean, there's still a lot of wrestling out there. There's still even companies that are starting right now in the
right,
middle of all
exactly.
of this.
Yep.
There's actually going to be starting one. I was just speaking to about last night with Ref Bob out of Rhode Island. There's a new company coming up. They're going to be having their first show June 6th in Massachusetts. We're going to follow that date, see where it goes. Um, the entire name, the entire name is this. If I get this wrong, they're going to kill me. Wrestler Association Heartstrong Gummy.
Wow.
That's the name of the new promotion that is having their first show June 6th in Massachusetts. I know it's a lot to try to remember,
Yeah.
to try to put out there. It doesn't really roll off the tongue. So I like to call it Heartstrong. And I hope maybe they might condense it because it seems like Heartstrong seems to be in capital letters. So they might have a focus for some reason on the word Heartstrong. So maybe they
Yeah.
might condense it. So I'm just throwing it out there because we like to follow when we see a new company pop up. We're like, wait, who,
Yeah.
what's going
Exactly.
on? New talent is being announced today
Oh, sick.
on their face page. So get out there, and again, don't quote me on the entire name. The first two words I might be mistaken, but I do know for sure it's Heartstrong and the word Gummy, Gumi. You type that in, I bet you the page will come right up.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out for sure.
Yeah. Uh, Now, when excuse me, when the COVID hit, are you kind of like, what do we do here? What
Yeah.
platform do I use? How do I go about this? Like, uh, there's so many directions you could go. How do I do it without putting out a bunch of money? Are there free options? Where did you go and how did you get there when you started your podcast?
So, I'll start back from the beginning a little bit. For podcast was never a thought, honestly. I thought, and it was a thought. I thought about it, but I was like, I don't know if I could do it. Um, so before I tell the whole story, so podcast, I just found out about Anchor. You know, Anchor from somebody sharing their podcast on Nerds of Wrestling. It was Anchor. Said the easiest and free way to make money and do a podcast. I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. I downloaded it. I set all my stuff up. And I first person I asked was BRG. And no money really went into it. I mean, the only money that I spent was on this $100 microphone right here. Then and I have a new one right here. Um, so yeah, I mean, no money really went into it. It was gonna be every Thursday, a new guest. And then, like you said, man, when COVID hit, I did 4 interviews before COVID hit. I think I interviewed BRG, Honcho Hensley. He's from Kentucky, I think. AJ Phoenix, and I think that's his name, right? AJ Phoenix. I hope I'm not botching that name. And
No,
Gabby
AJ
Ortiz. Okay, AJ Phoenix and Gabby Ortiz. And then COVID hit, and I was like, oh great, fuck, what am I gonna do? I mean, a lot of afterthought, a lot of thoughts were in my mind. First of all, when COVID hit, before COVID hit, we had a whole week off of work. I work in a preschool, so my boss was like, "Hey, we're gonna have the rest of the week off, paid obviously. No kids are coming. We only have like 3 kids in the entire building, so take the week off. We'll see you guys next week." Okay, sweet. Did a podcast that Thursday. I forgot who it was, but then I did the following Thursday, which was Channing Thomas, and I was supposed to go to work that following week, back to work that following week. Go to work Monday, did my thing. Tuesday, did my thing. Tuesday, we found out we're being laid off. So I'm like, oh my god, what the? What am I gonna do? Like, oh my, how am I gonna make money? This and that. So the podcast was kind of like not really in my mind, but like I was like, hey, I could just work on my Nerds of Wrestling page. So I spent a lot of time and energy on that. Uh, Once I felt pretty good, I went, okay, let me start doing some podcasts every week. It's every Thursday I was doing it, and like I said, probably like middle of April, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm home all day. I'm sitting and doing nothing. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday I have an interview. Then I do nothing else. Let me do podcasts, and like you said, man, I just really got the ball rolling. I was messaging everybody, trying to get people to go on the show. I was spending a lot of money on the graphics for the art for the wrestlers, $10 each. Which the guy said, you're lucky I like you because I charge like 300 a graphic. I'm like, yo, I'm not paying you $300. Hell no. For one graphic, no, fuck that. So, but there was a time though where I was like, hey, I'm really low on money. He's like, all right, well, what can you do? I was like, well, I have 7 interviews coming up. He's like, all right, well, send me 50 and I'll do 2 for free. I'm like, the bet. So I sent him 50. He gave me 2 for free. So that's like a little deal now.
Oh,
$50 for 5 of them and 2 for free. So you
nice.
know, do that, and then so that I was very fortunate for him. Shout out to Danny for doing that.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, it's once I got the ball rolling, I didn't want to stop. But then the more interviews I did, I was like, oh, okay, I'm tired. I'm tired. I went to bed on like literally, bro. I was home all day doing interviews, like home in my sitting here, just chilling, doing interviews, looking a mess, no haircut, just and also like not having a haircut made me kind of like upset too because like I like my appearance like when my hair grows really long I was like I need a haircut like I'll feel better once I get a haircut. I couldn't get a haircut, man, for forever, so I was like really getting pissed off about that. But yeah, no, I mean once like June hit I was like okay, I kind of took a little break and then I did some interviews here and there in July, and then I think August hit. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not done forever, just
Right.
done for now because
Right.
I everyone's like, "Oh, when are you gonna do a podcast? When are you gonna do a podcast?" I'm like, "Bro, I did 75 interviews. If you want to listen to one, go listen to one. I
Yeah.
did 75. Oh, I don't want to listen to those. Well, wait until I start again. I don't know what to tell you. I listened to all of them. Thanks for the support. Go listen to them again.
Man, I gotta give it to you.
Thanks,
You
man.
know, pulling out, putting your, like you were saying, your time, your effort, money, all depending on which avenues you're running here. But to do all of that because Justin, we love wrestling. This
Yeah,
is what this is about. We love wrestling. It's not to put us in some kind of fucking spotlight or whatever. It really is for the talent. It's always been in my eyes for talent and promotions as well because we like to lift the promotions as well. But to put in that effort, get 75 under your belt, and just be like, man, I got to take a breath. You have to when you're rolling hard like that, and you're putting all of this energy, and that energy is, you feel it. You feel it. You're excited for these interviews. You're nervous for these interviews, and it's the same thing, dude. Every single interview, when I reach out and I see a response, oh, what did they say?
what did I say? What did I say? Dun dun dun.
Yes, I'm psyched every single time I get a response from
Yeah,
one of the talent. But I applaud you for doing what you're doing, keeping helping that industry stay relevant. Because what we do is we push these guys and girls up. We put them on the channels or wherever our platforms that we're putting the stuff on. They appreciate it 1,000,000%. And furthermore, because they don't only watch it, Some of their peers watch it. Some of their family watches it. They might sit there with their whole family, being their children, their spouse, and really taking it in. You
Yeah.
never know how the wrestlers are actually viewing this footage, or the interviews when they're said and done in a finished product. So I
Yes.
applaud you for doing what you do.
Thank you. And like you said, the spot it's not to get like a spotlight under your name or nothing. Although that spotlight doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt when it feels really good when like wrestlers are shouting you out on other podcasts too. Like, oh, hey, yeah, shout out to Justin, for What's Up Wrestler. He's a great guy. Go support him. That means a lot because just that one shout out there took you months just to get just not months, but like it took you a long time to get that respect and for that person to be like, hey, go show support. He's a great guy, great podcast. You'll love his page. Yeah, it's a lot. The podcast, like to talk about the podcast, it wasn't even a thought. Like I said, What's Up Wrestler wasn't even my idea. No, it was the What's Up Wrestler wasn't my name. My friend Kelly came up with the name, so shout out to Kelly for keeping that name strong and for giving me that name and giving me the rights. I told her, well, I'm keeping that name. So yeah, go ahead, it's all yours. Uh, What's Up Wrestler was supposed to be a discussion thread every single Friday on Nerds of Wrestling where I have a different wrestler talking to the members of the group, where they can just ask questions and the wrestler will answer them. It's like a Reddit page, and they're just
Okay.
answering you. Uh, so that's what What's Up Wrestler was at first. It's crazy how things came in full circle. BRG was my first podcast, but he was also the first discussion thread. So I really like yeah, like, but shout out again to BRG for being such a good sport when there's a wrestling. He always supports me. He knows I love what I do. But yeah, no, like discussion thread that was first, but then as each Friday came after I was coming home from work, I'm like, okay, like I'm like kind of getting I forget to do it, but that's not to say the name isn't there. Like every other
Right.
once in a while, I'll do a discussion thread when I can, if I have the time, if I remember to message a wrestler to see if they want to do it. But the podcast is not going anywhere. Nerds of Wrestling isn't going anywhere. I worked very hard on Nerds of Wrestling. Everybody knows that. I got pro wrestling tees and everything. It's a lot, man. It's a lot to take in.
Uh, getting into the pro wrestling tees, what made you decide to jump on that venture?
I saw that it was free. First of all, I saw that I was like, okay, well, I don't have to pay any money to get T-shirts out because I really wanted T-shirts. But I'm like, I don't have $500 to drop on like a whole box of T-shirts to sell. Not that I would have trouble selling them. I think they'll sell pretty fine. But like, uh, when I saw pro wrestling tees, I'm like, that's it's really cool to get your name out there in pro wrestling tees. So I submitted an application. Someone was like, you had to have like 10,000, 8,000 followers, right? I have 14,000 on my personal Twitter. I'm fine, so I'm
Oh
good.
wow.
Yeah. So I had no problem getting approved. They approved me right away, and I got. I mean, it's not. I'm not making a lot of sales, but if anybody wants to buy a shirt, they could just go on there and buy one.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So we just type in go when you go to prowrestlingtees.com, you just type in your name.
No, just type in Nerds of Wrestling all together. Nerds
Okay.
of Wrestling, and then there's four shirts there. There's a red, black, and blue, and like a cool design with the chair.
Did you come up with the designs for the shirts?
No, no. I'm very very bad when it comes to asking people ideas for like stuff. Like, hey, can you make me a graphic shirt? What do you want? I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like something wrestling related, something like nerdy and wrestling and something cool. Okay, I got you. So, uh, I'm very bad at explaining. I know what I want, but I don't know what I want. If that
Yeah.
makes sense. So,
No, I got you.
so the person who I'm paying to make the designs is working with me like a lot. Like, okay, like,
Okay.
hey, no problem. Yeah.
Nice. Um, now we've been talking mucho podcasts, a
Yeah.
lot of podcasts. I can't believe this was actually the center of our discussion. I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
Because I know we have association with Jackie G, my
Yeah,
man Jackie G. We just had him on the fan roundtable yesterday, and we had Bradley Belmont come
I
in as
saw
our
that.
special guest.
That's awesome.
Now, when we have the fan roundtable, when we have a special guest, we don't tell the fans who it is because we like those surprises of bringing in the said surprise guest. So when Rad Dad ever came in, Jackie G lost his shit. It
See?
was awesome. It was so much fun. We had an absolute blast. It was like five of us with Rad Dad.
Yep.
We had a great conversation, did a little Q&A around Robin, had a lot of laughs. But my my man Jackie G, I know his name is Joey G, and I
Right.
F with him a lot. Let's get that straight. Joey G from the Sign Rip podcast. I like to call him Jackie G, but we had a tons of fun. It was the first time he was on, and hopefully he's going to make his return to the fan roundtable. And the reason why I'm discussing this is I would love to have yourself and my man Jackie G both on the fan
Hell
roundtable one of
yeah.
these days. That would
Let's
be
do
so
it.
fun.
I would love it.
Yeah.
I know Rad very, very well. I knew Rad for a long time. I don't think he'll mind me sharing this story. Uh it was on my podcast. A lot of wrestler. He used to do backyard, and it was funny because I refereed one of his matches one time, and
Oh, no kidding.
yeah, I knew, yeah, this was back in like 2015. And there was there was a spot where he was wrestling for the title, and the ending was supposed to be the guy defending the title was reaching for the ropes, but he was I saw it as he was tapping out, but he was reaching for the ropes. So he has him in a submission, right? And the kid is like, like reaching for the rope. So I'm like, oh no, he tapped. Ring the bell, it's over. Ring the bell, it's over. And I gave the title to Rad. I'm like, winner. And then I left. Everyone was ripping me a new one. They're like, he didn't tap. He didn't tap. What the hell? So yeah, Brad was the BWE champion. I crowned him as the new champion. So everyone thought I ripped off the kid. I just saw him tapping out. He wasn't reaching for the ropes. He was tapping out. So yeah, dude. I knew, like I said, that was only my first time meeting him. I only met him like that one time, and then I seen him again in 2020. So I haven't seen him like 5 years after that. But I talk to
Oh,
him all
wow.
the time. Yeah, so it's crazy.
What a tag team the Stepdads are.
I love him.
Holy crap, man. They made their debut, obviously, at Test of Strength.
Uh,
Uh, man, what a day we had with the Stepdads and Test of Strength that
yeah, I
day.
loved it. It was so much fun.
And an added bonus, you had Jared Silverkite on the card. I don't know where the hell they pulled him out of left field when they put him on the card.
Yeah.
Joey G, Joey G, and the clan along with yourself uh, must have popped like MFers when you saw that none other than the Stepdads and that they added Jared Silverkite onto the damn card. Holy cow!
I was really happy. I also marked out hard for Alec Price. Love that guy to death.
Yes,
Great
yes,
wrestler.
yeah.
That was my first time seeing him wrestle and at that Tesla Strength show. I never seen him wrestle. I had him on the podcast before. I talked to him all the time. That kid is going places. He's something special. Look out for Alec Price because that kid's no joke.
Going against one Mike Skyros, the Moonlight Sun,
Yeah.
who is the current K1 Classic trophy holder. Now, what they do, and just want to stop here for a second. This trophy, I don't know if you're aware of it, Mr. Del Rio. Test of Strength, they use it as a championship. It's not like it's an annual thing where it's just like a memorial cup of some kind because it's an homage of Killer Kowalski, that
Oh,
trophy is.
okay.
So it's the full name of that thing is the K1 Kowalski Classic Trophy. All
Wow.
right. So they use it as a full blown championship. Just because it's not around the waist doesn't mean it's not
Not a
represented
champion.
as a championship. So on that given night, it was Alec Price versus Mike Skyros. Hell of a match,
Yes.
might I say. And that damn manager of his, Howardson Davis the Turd, is a big giant pain in my ass. I will tell you. Oh man, that guy is something else.
My first, yeah, no, like that was a great show, and the one in October, I think it was the one I went to.
Yep.
That was when you that was when I saw you at that show for the first time. I think that was the first time meeting in person, if I'm not mistaken.
I
That's
think it
crazy.
was. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, but I do remember seeing you at a few Northeast wrestling shows. I just never
Oh,
crossed paths.
whenever we seen each other at Test of Strength, I looked at my dad and I go, I know who he is. I've seen him show after show after show after show at the Bethany,
Yep,
even at Blitzkrieg,
yep.
and such. So he goes, "Who is that kid?" I go, "His name is Justin." And I know we've seen him 1,000 times, but you know what? This is the first time I've ever actually. We're gonna talk to him. He's like, "Wait, you've never talked to this kid before?" I go, "No, never." I go, "I don't know. It's
Never.
kind of weird, man, isn't
Yeah.
it?"
It is. I mean, hey, there's a lot of people you don't talk to at all, and you talk to them for the first time. It's crazy. I have a question for you. Has there ever been an interview where you just planned last minute and it was absolutely fantastic?
I had a step in. It was all right. What I did was it was a Saturday afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. No, it might have been. I don't know. I can't think that straight. But anywho, somebody pulled out, and I had multiple interviews in that evening. So I put on the face. It was actually I was doing this. I was doing STP work. I was doing stirring the pot work at my shoot job, if you will.
Oh
I
God.
was yeah, because somebody canceled, so I put on the face page when I was at work. Blah 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 canceled. If anybody wants to step in, none other. Never interviewed him before. One Kevin Quinn says, "Hey, I'm always down for a good wrestling
No shit.
conversation." Uh, Let me tell you something right now, Justin, and you can't see him. I got chills just talking about Mr. Quinn. Whenever I'm at work and I see Mr. Quinn respond, I'm down for a good wrestling conversation. I absolutely lost my shit. It was a one-man party at my job because I was the only one popping like an MFer. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Kevin Quinn wants to come on my show. This is fucking money." I'm yelling, I'm swearing. It was a one-man party. Very excited for seeing one Kevin Quinn wanting to come on
Yeah,
our show. Like, holy crap. So he came on and it was absolute money. It was so much fun. We met the better half, if you will. And I'm telling you, what a cool conversation we had. We spent a fine hour with Ref Quinn. It actually, he came and returned because we had such a good time together. So he's actually returned. So that was absolutely fantastic, man.
that's
Kevin Quinn,
awesome.
love Ref Quinn to pieces.
He's a good dude. I had Kevin Quinn on for What's Up Referee. Um, What's Up Referee? He was on there. I loved him. I had on Blue Shoes. She was on the show.
Yes, yes.
Um, my one of my favorite last minute interviews. It was in August. It was near the time where I was kind of ending. Like kind of like at the home stretch. I was like, okay, I took like 2 weeks off. I want to do a podcast. So I was like, who wants to do it? But nobody really answered. I'm scrolling through Nerds of Wrestling and I come across this kid named Landon Hill. And I was like, all right, he's a wrestler. Let me hit him up. I looked at his photos. He saw say some background. I'm like, all right. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? I'm Justin. I run Nerds of Wrestling podcast. What's up, referee? Love to have you on as a guest sometime. Let me know if you're down. Thanks. And he hit me up about an hour later and say, hey, yeah, I'd love to be down. So I gave him a date. Where so yeah, it was supposed to be like within a week. He said, yeah, I'm down. I'm available. I'm working down. I was like, all right, sweet. I already had a podcast booked for the following day on Thursday, but that person, same as you, bailed out. And I was like, shit. Same thing, bro. I'm at work. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta do a podcast today because I have the momentum. I don't want to lose it. I want to do it. So I reached out to Landon. I was like, hey, are you free for a podcast today? So and so dropped out. I know it's last minute. I know it's only like 3 o'clock. We would have to record at 7. Let me know. He's like, I should be able to. Let me get back to you in like 10 minutes. So I was like, all right, cool. So I'm at work. I'm waiting. At this time, I'm back in the classroom because I couldn't be in the bathroom too long. So I'm hanging out, hanging out with the kiddos. Building blocks, doing whatever. Then I get my pocket vibrates and I have my Apple Watch on, and I'm like, he's like, yo, I'm down. I'm like, yes. I was like, I'll write back to you like an hour. Hold on. Then I just said, and then I got home. I wrote to him. We recorded. It was like almost an hour.
My,
Some of those last minute podcasts are the best ones because
hmm?
Like you said, Kevin Quinn was awesome. Landon Hill was awesome.
Yeah.
He's in my top 10. I told my friend yesterday, I was like, I have, you know, when somebody asks you who's your favorite interview, you can't name
It,
one. You can't.
it's so hard. You
It's so
can't.
hard, especially you over 200 interviews. Me like 75. I'm like, I told my friends I have like 10 favorite interviews, and that's out of 75. Yeah, 10 may seem like a lot, but it's out of 75.
Yeah.
It's and that's not to take anything away from the other wrestlers, but it's
No,
just
not at
those
all.
the other
Not
interviews
at all.
they just have a special place in your heart because they're just fantastic.
So out of let's take the 10, condense it. Why don't you give us your fave three if you could,
Oh,
come out of
okay.
okay. You can
Oh,
think about it because I know there's a lot of faves.
yeah.
Uh, so you think about it. And now, boys and girls doing these podcasts, it's I feel it's an honor and a privilege because we get to get get the talent out of their comfort zone of being inside that ring. Okay, and what I mean because not all of them are open to doing an interview, and either they're like, well, what's it consist of? What are the questions? What's your approach? What's the formula? um
Yeah.
I've gotten that a bit, and I'm like, whoa. It's very free flow. It's just a couple friends hanging out, getting to know
Each
said
other.
talent.
Exactly.
So I try to really make it very comfortable, bring it down, and and make it fun and conversational. But then you get these times where you get a little bit loose and you have a lot of fun. So I know I asked you what your top three is, but I'm gonna give you, because I was asked what my favorite is, and you can't pick a fave.
You can't.
And another thing, what happens when you're doing these podcasts? Is it in gimmick or is it shoot, if you will?
Yeah.
I've gotten that question a lot because they see how I am at the shows. I'm a freaking jackass, Justin. So they don't know what to do with me when I'm asking them for an interview. And I always say it's up to you. If you want to do a gimmick, that's fine. Normally, it is kind of just hanging out and getting to know the person,
Exactly.
just pulling the curtain back a bit. If you want to mix it up and do both, we can do that too. I'm fine with that. I've had them all across the spectrum doing, the gimmick, the shoot, and mixing with both. Okay. So I have to go with one Mr. Chris Cannon. This guy did full gimmick, never been interviewed ever before, and he gave me full gimmick. And with me being a jackass and him trying to be ultra serious because he's an ex-military guy, he's 6'4", 240 pounds.
Jesus.
I'm 5'10" and a half. 5'10" and a half.
In the half.
Uh, and if I weigh a buck 30, you're fucking lucky. So I am being a total jackass, and he's being ultra serious. The chemistry for that, Justin, was absolutely effing amazing. I thought it was some of the best shit I have ever, just like TV wise. It was like a sitcom, for Christ's sake. It was so, for me personally, and I'm being selfish, it was just fun. Um, but then on the flip side of that, I have to keep number one tied with three interviews being one Ref Bill Thompson and one Christina Marie. They're all tied for first because with Ref Bill and Christina Marie, I got all tanked up on apple cinnamon moonshine that a fan made for me. And with Ref Bill, I was fucked up, dude. I was lit because I don't drink. And I had a half a mason jar left over. And I felt, you know what? I'm going to have fun with Ref Bill. And I started drinking, actually, what I like to call tailgating with SOG, Ronnie Ribs, before Ref Bill Thompson. So I got primed a little bit and then drank more. And I was lit. And we had a grand old time. And it was a lot of fun. So I feel Chris Cannon because of the gimmick, and Ref Bill and Christina because I think the alcohol helped me a bit.
Yeah, it helps you open up a lot more. I don't drink either. I'm a super lightweight. My friends will tell you. I am like the most super lightweight person ever. I get drunk off of two Mike's Hards. That's how bad it is. It's terrible, man. But if I had to pick three, God, I feel bad for people listening. Go, oh, what about me? Oh, word, you forgot about
Yes,
me.
I know. I know. And it's just like, again, like Mr. Del Rio, it has nothing to do with slight on anybody else because we enjoy all our interviews
Of
or we
course.
wouldn't be producing them. So it's no slight on anybody.
Uh, Kennedy Copeland is definitely up there. One of my absolute most favorite interviews ever. Former Anthony Green, now current August Gray in WWE. He
August
was a
Gray.
great interview. Uh, and of course, the first one, BRG, he's up there
Mhm.
as well. If I had to give my top five, I'll give two more. Number four would definitely be the one that just happened this Friday. Ring and Fire. Just because like I legit did not know her name, and she'll tell you that, and she made fun of me for it, and I'm gonna bring her on again next time so she can make fun of me even more. Yeah. And number five would have to be, oh Lord, that's a tough one. Gino Rivera. Gino Rivera up in he was great guy. He gave me a lot, and he was so cool, super down to earth dude.
As you've been doing this podcasting, have you learned from different things that you've either said or the formula that you've tried to present from the beginning and maybe revised it a little bit as you've gone forward? Are you, and I'm obviously you would watch your stuff back
Yeah,
just
oh
to
yeah.
see how you're presenting and stuff. Have you changed anything from episode one to where you're at now?
Oh, 100%. So, uh, near the end, I always wanted to do an ending plug, but I never knew how to do it. Like, because I was on Anchor, and I always needed the person to stay on so they don't end the phone call. So
Right.
I'm like, oh, thank you for joining. Beep. I'm like, oh, well, they hung up. So I'm like, well, I need an ending plug. Something like, oh, and that concludes this episode, the Nerds of Wrestling podcast. So I did that. I pre-recorded an ending plug that I add to every single um every single podcast at the end, which I told Joey. I was like, listen, I was like, pre-record an ending plug. Just pre-record it. It doesn't have to be long. Just be like, that concludes this episode. Blah blah blah. Thank you, and just add it to the episode. So I did that. That I did not do that in my first episode. A lot of the episodes I pre-recorded the intro before I talked to them. So like they would do that. I would introduce them first in the pre-recorded intro, and then they would do the intro, and then I would start the podcast. So
Okay.
like you said, there's a lot of formula. Obviously, my podcast isn't perfect, but it's a lot better than it was when it first started. Because, like I said, I have the plugs, I have the any plug, I have the intro, I have my intro introducing them. So
Right.
like it's a lot to play with.
I know that when you start a podcast, there's so many avenues. Where do I
Yeah,
start? How do I do it? Do I need equipment? And there's like 1,000 questions. Now, when I started doing the interviews, I would take a tripod, grab my camera because my phone. I use my phone for every single thing that I do, no
yeah,
matter what it is. If it's photos, if it's the video, if it's interviewing, no matter what it is, I don't have a computer and I use my phone for every single thing I do. So I started taking a tripod, put my phone on a little clip, hooking up some lapel mics, and I felt that it was decent enough quality to where the talent enjoyed it. They had fun.
right.
We get the footage out there, and that's how I've done it. I just take that footage, I put it on YouTube. Again, I'm a very simple guy. I use FacePage, I use YouTube. I take the YouTube link and I put it on FacePage. That's it.
Yeah,
I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram. I don't barely ever use the Twitter. And then I thought I was going to start doing it for Certain Pot, and I was trying to do these multiple platforms, and I'm like, I'm
it's a
driving
lot.
myself crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I just started doing the Insta just a couple days ago. I've had one for 5 years and only had like two pictures on the fucking thing. So I figured I might stir it up a little bit on the Insta, see where that goes.
Yeah,
So basically, what I'm trying to drive at is when you start a podcast and you get into these platforms, how do I get on Spotify? How do I get on iHeart? How do I get on Apple and all
yeah,
of these other platforms? Because I want to spread my wings as far as I can, as quick as I can, because I want my platform to get out there.
yeah,
So I never really did that. Might have been a mistake, possibly. But what I feel, all I do is, again, and still to this day, I take my phone, I do these interviews, I take it off of Skype, I put it on YouTube, I call it a day. I take the link and I put it on FacePage. Okay. Um, I don't have to find like a sponsors, if you will. I don't have to meet any kind of a quota when you're on some of these platforms that you
yeah,
like. and I'm not saying Anchor does because I know nothing about those platforms, but some they want a quota.
Yeah.
And I don't have to link 37 different things for the platforms and stuff. So again, I'm a simple guy. I kept it very simple. Might have it been a mistake. I could have probably been maybe on different broader platforms. Maybe I don't know. But I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm meeting a lot of great people. May it be talent, may it be fans as yourself that we've turned into not part of the industry, if you will, but fans that kind of are doing a little bit something more than just going to the
Right.
shows and having
Exactly.
fun, you know? And this conversation was absolutely fantastic I think this came off amazing for the
I
both of
loved it.
us. I hope people uh, that are we ran just where are we like we just
An
hit
hour.
the hour mark. I hope people are still sitting here and finish this because it's just a couple guys that are fans hanging out talking wrestling, the talent, what we've done in the pod. Now, I don't even like to call my thing a podcast because it's definitely not a podcast. So, and I know you're a podcast, but just doing our medias, our platforms, if you will, going from the seat and broadening it to this, I just think we had a fantastic conversation. I learned more about your podcast than I ever knew. Um, Pulling the curtain back, if you will, getting to know Mr. Justin Del Rio. And I know we didn't really talk wrestling, but this is what's cool about the show. We start chit chatting. You never
Yeah.
know where the conversation is going to bring you.
Exactly.
Uh,
That's like all
so I,
podcasts, though.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. You never know where it's going to roll to, and I think that's where that's why my formula is: don't write nothing down, don't look nothing up. Let's see where it goes. And again, as Mr. Del Rio said, 100% don't do that.
Because like I said, I do the same thing because I'm like, I mean, I'm very OCD, like I said, but I should be writing stuff down. I should be doing that, but I have a lot of stuff. I have my lamp here, my microphone here, my phone here, my computer here. It's just a lot to take in. I have like a very small desk. Uh, this is pretty good for someone who started off as just a phone and an iPad. So, but iPad is so good. But I got this computer was $1,400. I love this computer. It's a $75 microphone, $200 headphones. So I spend a lot of money on this
Yeah.
stuff. I need to get a pop filter for this, but sorry, in due time. In due time.
I can't thank you enough for spending the time with us. Before we let you go, though, I want you to plug whatever you want to plug. I want you to push whatever you want to push. May it be an upcoming guest, a
Yeah,
past guest that you just had, no matter what's going on. Give all of us the stuff you want to plug right now, sir.
yeah, man. So every time I go on someone's show, I always tell them just go on Facebook, type in Nerds of Wrestling in the search bar. Join Nerds of Wrestling on Facebook. If you want all my other social media, hit me up, ask me. I have way too many to count. Like I run the Nerds of Wrestling on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp. I run it everywhere. I have a lot. It's a lot. I'm always busy. But if you really want to support me, you really want to support my podcast, go check out Nerds of Wrestling on Facebook. I have an interview this Thursday coming up at 7 p.m. Eastern, which will be live on Nerds of Wrestling and YouTube, and I'm trying to get it on Twitch. Kaya McKenna is coming on the show, so I'm excited for that interview. So yeah, be there for that. That episode will be live on Facebook, 7 p.m. Eastern. Nerds of Wrestling, my personal Facebook page, YouTube. I'll drop a link on Nerds of
Awesome.
Wrestling so you guys can find it. So yeah,
Awesome. Mr. Del Rio, thank you for your time. Thank you for the fine conversation. This has been Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Justin Del Rio. Thank you, my friend.
no problem. Thank you for having me, bro.